Okay, welcome to episode 636 of the Black Brain Trust. This is the Sapio-Males Guide to the Galaxy. Infatuation. That's right. Infatuation. This is a topic that I covered on my on when I was doing the series on my channel, but I decided what I wanted to do was revisit it. Um, because it's not so. It's something that I think often. I don't think a lot of people have really ever thought about whether they were actually just infatuated with something. And so that's kind of what we're gonna talk about. Um, gonna kind of dig into its definition, its meaning. I also have some quotes. I like to do the brainy quotes thing. So, and if you don't mind, I had to really just kind of go with some straight up. I had to go with just some jazz shit. If you guys do not mind, I really did have to kind of like let it go. You know what I mean? I really needed some free form or some free flow or something, man. Nothing restrictive. Um, so, um, so why infatuation? Why infatuation? I should say. Okay. Well, let's look at the definition of it. I did put it down there in the description. Um, it's pretty brief. In short, it's an intense but short lived passion or admiration for someone or something. So I'll read that one more time. An intense but short lived passion or admiration for someone or something. And um, is it if oh hey Topaz, how you doing? Welcome. If it's too loud, let me know. But in order for my head to work, I usually have music going into it. It's kind of like gas. Um, wait, I totally lost what I was saying. Was it intense or passion loving something? Topaz, hey, great. Oh, okay. And yeah, by the way, I'll be dropping the link here. I'm gonna go through some quotes to kind of like preface the whole thing, and then I'll put the link out. And then if you guys want to come on and chop, we can do that. All right. Um, so, so yeah. Essentially what we're covering here is what infatuation actually is, because I think what oftentimes what happens is that in a spell of what is in all actuality infatuation, people do things that they probably wouldn't have done had they known that they were just infatuated with something or someone, right? Like they kind of confused infatuation with love. Okay. See, the key point about infatuation is that it's short lived. But see, in that short amount of time, life changing things can occur. I think you gotta know where I'm gonna go with this obvious example. Whirlwind romance. And with the result of this whirlwind romance over this span of a few weeks where you just couldn't get enough of this person. Oh shoot, the the test is positive. Life changer, right? And what you quickly found was that you literally have like no love for this person, or there's no feelings or anything like that. You were just infatuated, right? But being infatuated had adverse effects on your life. Okay. And I think what happens is that because what we don't do is we don't choose to approach life intelligently. We don't even choose to like pay attention to details like words and what they mean, right? Because if we're feeling something, and we understand that there is a word that could be applied to what it is that we're feeling, then we wouldn't be confused as to whether we were truly in love with someone or just infatuated with someone. You could better discern your own feelings through intelligence. Okay, am I really in love with this person, or am I just infatuated with them? Right? And then you could think about it. What does infatuation imply? It's short lived. How long have I known this person? When did I meet? Oh, I met him last week. I met her last week. I mean, yeah, we got on the phone, man, and we was just like, man, we just clicked, man. We just been on the phone for hours. Pause. Okay, so you're infatuated with her. So you're infatuated with him. All right, because the definition is short-lived. So see, in a short amount of time, you can't really make heads or tails of like, what those little flutters in your heart actually mean. But being caught up in the feelings would lead you to do some things that once the infatuation period has worn off, you'd like for it all to go away, but no, there's a whole baby right here. You know what I'm saying? Or or some other strange outcome, right? So we got to ask ourselves, like, before we do something stupid, like, am I just infatuated with this person? Think back to when you were like in middle school, junior high, and high school, right? So think back to then. So back then, because you're okay from a relationship standpoint, right? Your emotional intelligence levels are not sophisticated enough to make some sort of discernment, right, as to whether or not you love your crush, for example. Okay, I mean, it's very rare that like some kids that were in like middle school, junior high, or high school end up getting married and living the life all the way on throughout. That's extremely rare. So what that implies is that when we're young, what we actually deal with is infatuation. They call it, Slick Rick had that joint, Hey Young Love. You know what I mean? Where he's basically, the song was like, come on, don't make dumb decisions, over what your young heart's telling you, because it's not what your brain is interpreting, because you're young. Right? I mean, I used to get a lot of my lessons, man, in hip hop. Like, I'm a music junkie. So, like hip hop spoke to me and like taught me a lot of shit through rhyme, but I can also then see its real world application, i.e., I'm sitting here talking, and all of a sudden I think of a, Slick Rick song, right? But it's very applicable. It's very applicable. And see, even as like adults, people still like succumb to infatuation. Weekend flings and all that kind of shit. And then unintended consequence happens. And the next thing you know, it's like, okay, well, let's try to make this work. Whoa. Whoa. How do you suppose we do that? I hardly know you. We hardly know each other. How do you suppose we do that? Hey, Art, what's going on, man? So check it out. I'm gonna kind of read a couple of quotes on infatuation, man. Let's take a listen and see what folks are talking about here. See, red is such an interesting color to correlate with emotion because it's on both ends of the spectrum. On one end, you have happiness, falling in love, infatuation with someone, passion, and all of that. On the other end, you've got obsession, jealousy, danger, fear, anger, frustration. Oh, wow. This is very true. And that was Taylor Swift who said that. Huh. Interesting. I just love cars. I've been like that since I was a kid. It's an infatuation because we grew up poor. Cars was something we were always trying to get. Birdman. Hmm. It's an infatuation because we grew up poor. Right. So what he's saying is it's a kind of like a temporary endorphin release, man. You could pay the money, get the car, push the whip, and then as soon as you got to go get the service done, get the tires changed, rims bent, something like that, it becomes a hassle, and you're like, all right, man, the high done wore off. There's a big difference between falling in love and being in love. There's a big difference between infatuation and falling in love. Ooh. Hmm. I don't know if love exists, not the kind that keeps. I think love's an infatuation that turns into a habit because you can't keep that passion going. You get used to people, and that's the death for me. I like to be surprised. Yeah, I don't know about that, man. You can always keep the passion going. What the? I don't know. Some people, man, they have a strange sense of how to live life. Purity engenders wisdom, passion, avarice, and ignorance, folly, infatuation, and darkness. Young men of this class never do anything for themselves that they can get other people to do for them. And it is the infatuation, the devotion, the superstition of others that keep them going. These others, in 99 cases out of 100, are women. Fuck. Oh, shit. For a century, women have binged on romance novels that encourage them to associate intimidation with infatuation. And it's no wonder that this emotional hangover still lingers. Ooh. Sheesh. Women, I beg of you, you have to more intelligently begin to understand your emotions. This is a PSA from the Black Brain Trust. A lot of my friends from my past would know me as Scott Diggs. Tay Diggs comes from Scott Tay. When I went to college, I liked it because it was so different, and I have an infatuation with nicknames. Okay, well, that was Tay Diggs. That's what he had to say on infatuation. Let's read a couple more here. I would love to be a voice in this maelstrom of chaos and obsessive celebrity infatuation that says, let's talk about something that matters. Oh, shit. That's funny as hell. After a semester or so, my infatuation with computers burnt out as quickly as it began. I would say, man, I don't know. Mine hasn't gone anywhere. So I don't know if I would call it an infatuation now, would I? Well, okay, you guys get it. You get what we're talking about here, man. Infatuation and just what the hell that actually is. So let me do this. I'm gonna do this here. If you guys would like to join. I'm gonna step away for a quick sec. What you're hearing in the back is the Yusuf Days Trio, Art New Style. I'm pretty sure you can appreciate this Topaz you as well. I'll be right back. Uh-oh. Okay, wait. I'm back. Hey, Topaz, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Hey, what's going on? Welcome.
But oh wait, it's looping again. It's
Wait,
see.
you got an echo? Uh-oh, you said it's looping? Uh-oh. Okay, I think she might be having an audio issue. Okay.
Well, I muted myself just now, so I'm not sure.
I mean, I can hear you just fine. You good?
Okay. Oh no, I see what happens. I still had the first tab open.
Oh, okay. Is the sound too loud in the background or anything?
I mean, not for me. I'm okay. It's very relaxing because here it's after midnight. You always go live so late.
Yeah, I do. And so when I do, I gotta like listen to shit. Uh, yeah, I gotta have something going on in the background. All right. All right. Well, hey. Welcome. What you got on the topic?
Well, I did always want to come onto one of these panels, but I got to pick the ones where I actually can add something to the topic. So I think I got something on this one. So
All
my
right,
job, I'm a therapist. I don't know if you know that or
yeah, I
not.
know that. Yeah.
Okay, so I talk to a lot of people about their emotions and getting them to understand their feelings. And you were right when you said that earlier, is that not just women, both men and women, but particularly for the topic that you had here today, yes, it's important for women to understand their emotions. I mean, logically know what those emotions are. because once you know what your emotions are, you know your responses, because our emotions teach us things. Like when
Mhm.
you're depressed, it lets you know that there's something you dislike. When when you have anxiety, it lets you know that you don't feel safe and secure. When you're angry, it lets you know that something has crossed the boundary of your value systems for you. So if you can understand that about yourself and have self-awareness, then it'll be that much easier for you to get to self-actualization, which is the actual goal of human existence from my theoretical orientation. We want to get to a place where we live a life where we can we can create and then live out what it is that we think that we're good at, where life will be peaceful. So we keep trying to strive towards that. And knowing yourself, knowing your emotions, knowing your capabilities is part of that.
I wholesale agree, right? Um, it, I guess it was kind of the reason why um I didn't have like girlfriends and shit like that in high school,
Mm,
right? Because part of me like my like my logical pragmatic ass is sitting here like, okay, in my head I'm sitting here like, okay, so what, am I gonna like get with this girl now and then we're gonna get married or something at some point, right? And so it was sort of like, all right, well, let's think about this logically. And
right,
so when I think back to, like, I guess you get to say like my first like crush, right?
right.
um I won't say her name. Let's just say it was in 8th grade, and it kind of went all the way into probably our early 20s, right? That's how long it was.
Wow. So wait, so
Yeah.
so from 8th grade, like what is that? Like 13 years old to early 20s. So you never said anything to try to see if you can actualize that crush? You
Nah, we
watched her
both
from far?
we both did, but for some
Oh,
reason nothing ever happened, right?
right.
And we both kind of knew what time it was, but nothing ever happened. And then when I think kind of like to say like where, and you know, like we're still like friends on Facebook and you know like
Right.
social media stuff, right?
Well, that
And
probably means it was a good match because y'all both felt the same way. Like, yes, I like you, but I'm doing something right now. I don't want to go down that path, but
yeah, and but when I really look at it, it's kind of like, okay, when I see like, okay, the type of person that I am today, we so would not match, right? Trust me on this, right?
right.
So that's where I can kind of understand like what the nature of say like infatuation is, why it is that I even made that correlation to like what it is that young people actually, what it is that they're actually experiencing and what they're actually dealing with. Oh wait, hold on a second. What it is that they're actually dealing with, because what they'll do is they'll go and do questionable things in the
Yep.
bedroom, right?
Right.
With the thought in their head that they're in love with this person, right?
But
But
but okay, so but this is the thing, complex. That's why the elders call it puppy love. We try to tell that, like,
exactly.
that's what it means. It means yes, because you know what, infatuation does feel like love. The problem is that it's short lived. And I had typed
Exactly.
earlier in the chat, how many people even asked that question? Because when I was in high school and middle school and everybody was dating, I remember not caring. Like the boys would say, "Oh, you're cute. We want to date you." Or whatever, we want to be your boyfriend or what have you. But I remember, like, I was like, okay, we can have a relationship, but it wasn't something I actually cared about. Like, I wasn't as excited as the other girls, right? So I didn't get the point of it. I was like, okay, but what's the point? Because I'm still in my parents' house. I still got to graduate. I can't do anything. I can't be responsible for anything until I am finally grown. So like, what am I gonna do? Just like I felt like it would be me keeping them on the back burner until I got grown anyway. So it was like, what's the point?
Well, you know, and what's interesting with that is, so, you know, you kind of mentioned where, you know, our parents would call it like, right, puppy love, quote unquote, right? And I think you sort of you're sort of doing young people sort of like a disservice, right? When you don't intelligently dialogue with them, right? So when you just say, "Oh, that's just puppy love," what the hell does? Okay, if I said, "Look," if I say, "Son," or in my instance, you know, my daughter, I go, "Babe,
Right.
listen, okay, you're infatuated with the young man. I'm not gonna tell her she's dealing with puppy love. No,
Right.
I'm gonna tell her you're infatuated with the young man, and
Well,
then
yeah, because that gives more information. Like, I
right.
agree with you. If you say puppy love, it tells them that yes, it's love, but it's minimal. You know, if you actually explain to them the difference between love and infatuation, and by the way, I am a big proponent of explaining things to children. I talk to my kids like they're adults, and then I keep answering
Mhm.
questions until they can catch on to the concept. So my kids are very much more understanding than the kids their age. You know, so I do agree with you. We as Black people need to be explaining more things to our kids earlier so that way they can be prepared. Even if
Mhm.
it's not what's happening now, they'll recognize it and they'll still have in the back of their mind when you explained it to them when they need it. I think like preparing them. So telling them what infatuation is lets them know what to expect from that emotion, meaning it's going to go away. It's okay. You know, it's short term, it's fun, it does feel nice, but you can't make long-term decisions because who says you're going to still like this person in 3 months?
But you also have to. You still have to have. Hey, Chaos, what's going on, man? Welcome.
Hey, Chaos.
Hello.
Uh, you still have to have the open channel of communication, right? So that your child can come to you with questions, right? So that they can better discern. So,
Right.
for example, it's like, you know, they say, "Well, Daddy, am I just infatuated?" Right? Because see, I had explained it prior, right? So now it's sort of like, okay, well, this is how I feel. Okay, you want to have that channel of communication open so that your child can come to you and express this, and then ask the question: am I just infatuated with him, or am I just infatuated with her? Okay, and that's see, if you instill that early on, it could prevent a lot of shit,
I'm
right?
glad you said that
Yeah.
because a lot of our parents don't believe in talking to their children. Like, I don't like when kids go to their parents with a genuine question because they're curious about the world, and then the parents interrogate them and accuse them of something based on, like, well, why are you asking? What made you? No, just answer the question. It came from who knows where. Like, what difference does it make? I mean, you can get to where they got the question from, but I think you should handle the question first, not being, judgmental. And then maybe your children should feel comfortable being able to ask you stuff. We have a problem with our kids going to ask their friends stuff or experimenting or just trial and error. And that creates the thought process that we don't like in Black adults, where they just kind of, do whatever and not actually try to think through and figure out what would be the best response.
It's
Now,
worse. It's worse. It creates what they call lack of trust, lack of bonding. Because that's why when you hear adults that reach adult age, like over 18 and 20, especially the girls, and we can say the boys, but let's say for the girls, it's kind of how they can't communicate with their fathers to present them their boyfriends and stuff, ask about advice, screen.
is he borging out?
I'm not sure. I was trying to wait to see if he was still going to finish. We can't really hear Chaos.
No, I think he might have an issue with his mic because you can't hear him. Well, I was gonna say to that, now I kind of want to also now sort of channel it back to adults,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because
And that's
now,
where it starts. That's where
right,
everything.
right, right, because we dealt with the children, right? See,
Mhm.
so what parents can do is explain things like infatuation to their children, right? So they have a proper understanding of what their feelings may be telling them, right? So
Mhm.
if there's no word that they can attach to the feeling, then they're going to default and say, oh, well, it's my heart and,
Mhm.
puppy dog eyes and all of that, versus, well, I also know that there's this thing called infatuation where it's just like, I just saw him and then for whatever reason I'm crushed. And so maybe I need to kind of pipe down a little bit and process this a little more. It's taking
Right.
a little more rational approach to processing your emotions.
Well, Complex, you'll appreciate this, right? So in in one of my theoretical orientations, right, there's this concept of the wise mind, right? That's
Mhm.
the mind that can interpret information from both logic as well as emotions, and can use the combination, whatever that may be for the situation, and implement it appropriately.
Mhm.
Now, how that's created is by us understanding that the feeling that you have has a name for it. And there's even a list of like obscure feelings that people rarely feel that have names
Mhm.
that we don't even use. But the thing is, when I'm talking to my parenting groups, I tell them that when their child is like 2 and 3 years old at the latest, if you see them with an emotion, go over there and try to get them to understand that what they're feeling right then has a name. So that way, when they come to you, they can tell you what they're actually feeling. Now, there are primary emotions and then there are secondary emotions. So infatuation would be something like a secondary one, because the primary ones are the ones that we feel most of the time, and they're the ones that alert us to something big.
Right.
Anger, depression, and anxiety. But
Mhm.
things like infatuation, things like confusion, or things like, the things that would be more complex. It would
Mhm.
involve a combination of both of any of those, primary emotions like that. And then the other positive, happy primary emotions are like tranquility and happiness, right? So it's some positive ones too, but we're talking about the unpleasant ones. So like, so you tell your child that what they're feeling right then, if they're screaming and they're hitting and throwing stuff, while you're stopping them from doing that, while you're correcting them, you're also teaching them that this is called anger. When they're crying, you're teaching them also, in addition to stopping the tears, you're teaching them this is called sadness. So that way, when they come to you at about like 9 or 10 years old, they can say, well, I think I'm feeling love, but there's something else extra. And then you can have that conversation. Like that way they come to you and it's more organic. It's more natural.
Right.
And it's done the very first time if they feel comfortable with you, and it's done before they're in any bad situations. They also, right, will be more likely to talk to you and confer with you before making those. Earlier when you were talking about those permanent decisions people make with temporary emotions, they'll be more likely to come talk to you because they trust you and they know that you have the answer. And if you don't have the answer, you need to go figure out the answer. You ever heard Black parents that get mad at kids when they don't have the answer to the question?
Yeah,
All the time.
I've seen a lot of parents to do that kind of stuff, and it's kind of like, well,
We squelch questions. We squelch curiosity. That's what creates scientists, though. That's why we don't
mhm.
have any kids in STEM, because they don't get to ask questions.
Well,
But
we've
okay,
always said on this platform here that and I would say that to some degree, a lot of us, a lot of the males here on this platform have experienced this, but you know, if as a black male, if you start showing flashes of brilliance at age 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, there's a component of black culture and
yep,
and the black household that stomps that shit out.
right,
Okay.
exactly. It's seen as like as a kid I got called the devil for asking too many questions, and I'm like, really, evil? My mortal soul is in peril now because I had a question you don't got the answer to. Like
I,
that, they go too far.
yeah, I was told that, like, just for whatever reason, like, okay, for whatever reason, right? Good grades equals, I guess, bad treatment or something. And this isn't
Oh
from, like,
yeah,
this isn't from like from my parents per
the
se. This
kids.
is like from the kids and the
Yeah,
siblings and all that kind of shit, right? So I've always had to sort of grow up understanding that my intelligence was actually that was my hammer, that was my strong suit, right? So then
right,
it became a thing of like, well, will that motherfucker, right?
right.
And so that's really what it ultimately became. Now, I wanted to kind of circle it back, well, not circle it back, but what about that? What about the understanding of this when it comes to like grown ass adults though?
Right.
Okay,
That annoys
what
me.
because see, we done already broke down like how we get this across to children and stuff, right?
Right. And you
Okay,
know what? And complex, just stop me, because you know what? That's like the primary part of my practice. So I see
no,
that
no,
more. So just reel me back in, because I'll.
it was relevant. No, it's cool. It's cool.
Okay. Well, no, I've seen it with adults, and it's annoying because I always feel like as an adult, like part of maturity is understanding the environment around you. So even if like whatever had happened to us in childhood, when we get to be adults, we get to choose. Like you get to pick between, you know, generation or individuation. Are you going to continue everything that happened to you as a kid, or are you going to make some different choices and pick and choose? And you know, like I guess I get irritated because adults just are like, well, at least in our culture, they normally just keep the same thing going and going and going. They don't ever question anything because they want to use their free time to do dumb stuff instead of trying to set up actual value systems in a culture that could be a culture that could, you know, be sustained. So it's just, to me, it's annoying.
No, it is, and so it's sort of like it's twofold, right? Because you have the children, and then you have the adults. You know what I mean? And it's sort of
Right.
like with the children, it's just it's proper rearing. Okay,
Right.
that's actually what's that saying? It's escaping me at the moment. It's easier to
Easier to
raise
build better
strong
children than
children
repair
than
broken men.
repair broken men and women. Okay,
But yes, absolutely. Because I get tired.
right? Because I would say that more so than not, women succumb to infatuation more than men do.
Yeah, but you know why?
What's that?
Because women are allowed to like just kind of fall through their emotions all the time, and we try to make men into machines or animals. Both of those two things are the opposite ends of the spectrum of extremes, where you don't utilize emotional states. You can be
Mhm.
logical, but you also have to let your emotions have some say so. You're supposed to use a balance of the correct combo of it, but we keep trying to tell men that they don't have emotions, and that's not true. That's like, men are mortal, they are human beings. They're supposed to have emotions. That's what makes us better than all the other species out there. So
Well,
women are allowed to, and men are told not to. So women just, you know, like if they're infatuated, people will understand. And they're like, oh yeah, you know, he was so romantic. We get it. We understand. And then she's coddled and it's okay. You know,
but
that's not okay.
but I guess my thought here is that because we've already established, right, that we're very familiar with this feeling.
Right.
We first experienced it, remember, middle
Right.
school, junior high school, early 20s, right?
Right. Now I
Why
can say I had crushes, but I never acted on them. It just was like, it was better for me. That's why I asked you that question earlier, because for me it was better to just watch them from afar. I like, if I had to like actually act on it, I would lose interest. So I kind of knew it was
I
infatuation.
mean, but see, that's the thing though. When you know that something, it's okay. So let's just take for example, right? If I am thoroughly attracted to a woman, right? It's because it's we over some time we've gotten to know each other. That's not infatuation,
Right.
right?
But you have but see, that's the difference with infatuation. There's not that foundation of additional information.
Exactly, and this is what I mean. So if you find yourself like all up in your fifis, like 2 weeks after coming across this person, pause.
Right.
You just might be infatuated. Hold
Why
on.
is that not a question though? Like, why does that not spring to your mind? Like, to me, if I'm
This
just
is
finding
go
myself
ahead.
so overly obsessed with somebody after only 2 weeks, I'm gonna question
Don't you think
myself.
you might want to stop and think about this for like
Yeah,
what the fuck is going on in my
yeah,
head
I'm
right
gonna ask
now?
myself, like, what are you doing?
Like
You know, where are you going with this?
this is all I'm saying. That's why I'm like, well, wait, do people understand what being infatuated means?
People don't really talk about it a lot. I gotta say, that's why this
Well,
title
you know
stood out
what,
to
Topaz, people talk about a lot of shit,
me.
right?
Yeah, but except for the right stuff.
Okay, but somehow you can't talk about like an emotion that we're all very familiar with, that we somehow seem to be still confused about in our adult years.
No, but you know, adults, like I've said on a different live stream. So, like in our culture, right, adults view being grown as the loss of additional responsibilities. Like nobody can check you. Like this is the time where you can just do whatever and run amok, and everybody's just supposed to understand it because, well, at least they grown when they did it. Whereas, you know, other cultures look at grown as the additional responsibilities. Like you're supposed to have all your pretend and all of that during childhood, but we don't do that. We do that backwards, like Classic Ruby was talking about in the chat. So you got a lot of adults that go around here and they think that they have time to play these games and do all of this stuff. So no, they don't question whether it's infatuation. It never it never crosses their mind that 2 weeks is not enough time to actually get to know somebody. That never comes up in discussion.
Okay, so I mean,
and I don't want it to sound like I'm beating up on our community.
No.
This is the conversation that is today.
It's not that, but see, Topaz, here's the problem that I have, right? So we know those problems, and here's what I fundamentally understand and know, right? Albert Einstein said it. He said, you cannot solve a problem using the same level of intelligence that created it.
Yes, of course. Because you have to transcend it to be able. Okay, no, I know. Okay.
So now the question then becomes, what's stopping you from transcending? Because it starts with like a thought in the mind.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, they have to at least have that spark that says there is something higher than this. And that's what I mean. We're mentally lazy as a culture. We never grasp onto the concept that there might be something a little bit bigger than this. Like before I make any decision, I try to see, okay, is there something bigger than this before I make the decision? Because am I going to want to keep this answer? But go ahead.
Let me illustrate how mentally lazy. I'm going to illustrate, and I want everybody who's listening, just think about this for a second. Let's think about how mentally lazy. So what we're saying is that it was because we didn't understand a simple word that has a single sentence as a definition, right? That because we didn't know what the simple word meant, we then could not discern our feelings. And because we couldn't discern our feelings, we went and did something stupid.
Right.
That's how that's like a pretty in your face example of what mental laziness can net you.
Yeah. And the sad thing is that it never even occurs to anybody that that's a thing that's possible, or that that's a thing that we could do that would ever even be helpful. We just feel something and go do it. Like there is literally, sometimes when I'm talking to people, it's literally that simple. There is no foresight.
And I mean, this is the reason why, when we do these live streams right here, I'm not really, I have no interest, right, in talking about the bullshit, basically.
Right.
I really don't. I have zero interest. So much so to the point that I care to actually, title these things the way they're titled.
And you had all of this beef on here, like complexes and getting in trouble on YouTube because you know what I'm talking about.
Well, listen, I mean, it's like, it was, get out of here with that intelligent shit, But I mean, no. The reality is that there really isn't much in talking about a problem. Once you've identified what the problem is, like my mind just kind of switches into solution mode, right? And then it works quick, and then it's on to the next. And so this is why I'm like, okay, maybe what we need to do is start to maybe talk about what words can actually convey the emotions we're feeling.
Right.
Okay. Absolutely. Maybe we have a conversation about what these particular words mean. Yeah, we're going to title it one word, infatuation. And that one word has one sentence as a definition, but it can spark a 2+ hour conversation. Why? Because a lot of people don't understand what it means.
Right. Right. And there's a lot for them to be able to try to apply it to. But this is the thing that irritates me, though, is the fact that these emotions already have a name. Why is it that we have to bring this up on Black YouTube at 1 o'clock in the morning for people to even think about possibly labeling this? Because you label the emotion, then you understand it, and then you cope with it, like with your behaviors or whatever. So there's like way more to do after you label it. Why do we not even get to the point where we even label emotions? There are people that I meet in my practice that have been doing stuff, and they just They can't tell me what the emotion is until I make them sit down and think about it. No, I closed out mine.
I'm hearing.
Oh, wait. Hold on. There is a StreamYard hack that I discovered here. Watch this.
You somebody hack you.
No, it's a StreamYard hack. Now it should be gone.
Okay, can y'all hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, so no, I was just saying, like, the fact that these names already exist, meaning why is it out there and we don't know it, right? Because we're choosing to focus on other things. And then two, labeling the emotion, like knowing the name of what it is that you're feeling right now is the first step to anything positive coming from that emotion. So it's just, it's so simple, and I don't get it, but I understand why you title, I understand why you title things with one word, and that just makes it worse. Like, this is where this is literally where we are.
Yeah, no, it is because it is, and the reason why we know this is because we actually have to talk about things like this, right? Where people have to say, wait a minute, you mean to tell me that that's what I was?
Right. And
that's what I've been.
I will say this, and I'll shut up for a second because I know I can get long-winded, so I'm gonna shut up too, right? So I will say this. These conversations that you're having, I think, can solve a whole lot of the gender war beef stuff that we see going on outside.
Oh my God! Wait a minute. What did you?
No, we're not.
I cannot believe. Wait. No, chaos. Shh. Let me tell you something. I postulated that, and did you just confirm?
Well, I guess so. I didn't know you said it, but that's why.
Oh my God.
That's why I came. That's why I clicked on this live stream. That's why I hit the panel, because, like, okay, if you think about it, a lot of the arguments that these people are having are after the infatuation is gone, and they're still now trapped with these people. So it's like, okay, but you solidified your life to this person. This is what we were trying to say to you, but then you yell at me and you tell me I'm a prude and I'm mean, or either I'll be alone forever. Yeah, I get like all the threats or whatever, and I don't care, because at the time I'm trying to tell you that, listen, that's the natural what you're doing. No, not my friend. No, my friends, the people who have been in my life and to be called friends, they understand that if I have something to say, I'm gonna just say it, and then we're done with it. If you don't want to talk about it anymore, we're not gonna keep harping on it. I just have to go on the record as having said it. Right. But after that, if we don't want to talk about it anymore, we don't have to. But like, a lot of people are dealing with the fact that, like, they're solidified and concrete into a life with somebody that now that the infatuation is over, they now want this person gone. It's like, okay, no, you need to move, because the love that I want is still somewhere else. But you can't, because you have to deal with the consequences of the things that you do.
But you still are going to ultimately have to understand what infatuation means, because what happens is that people, they go through that shit, and then guess what happens? They get infatuated with another person, and they repeat the goddamn cycle. And every time they think they're in love with somebody. Hey, Ruby, what's up?
Hey. Hey, Topaz. Hey, Chaos. Oh my God, I didn't know you switched to over here, right?
Yeah,
I was so busy.
I'm doing everything over here now. Sorry.
See, I didn't know that. So I'm waiting for this thing to pop up. And like, I'm subscribed to this channel, but me and my business mind are not necessarily friends. So, and then I just saw it, and I'm like, oh, you knew.
Yeah. It's
That's
over
what
here.
happened.
So you only have like the car stuff, and there was something you were building in your garage one day.
Actually, this is much more stronger channel. That's why Complex came over.
Well, it's more apropos for this platform, because even before I started doing the Sapio live streams, we did actually a few open panels on it. Mike V actually did the first 3. And then I started doing this on my channel just to kind of try it out. And then I had to kind of I took over, kind of like, putting all the live streams together on this channel. And then it was kind of hard to just do everything everywhere. And then so I kind of ran it by, a lot of the brothers, and they were just like, do them over here. And I was like, oh, okay. So now
it is more in line with the Black Brain Trust, though, like, because this is where you're thinking about like your life, and actually it's like knowledge. So, I can see you keeping your personal channel for building things because, like
Yeah, I'm
technology
doing
stuff.
my gardening. All my gardening and stuff is over there.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Like I knew you
And then,
wanted to
that
split
is
it.
interesting.
But...
That is an interesting mix. Gardening, and then I'll build like a car. So
Yeah, I'm all over the place. Yep.
yeah, no, I am too. That's why I find it hilarious because I am all over the place. Nothing matches, and I can't explain it. I just know it is.
No, it works. You make it work.
Right.
It's like you need the gardening is for the peace. Like
Right.
when I
Right.
kind of need to and talk to the birds and all that, and then when I'm like in my competitive mode, I'm doing the wrenching and all that because I go out and race and all that. So yeah, it's sort of like when I'm in one mode, I'm doing one thing, and then when I'm over there, and then I got my daughter with me in all of it. So hopefully I'm not driving her crazy.
Hopefully, fingers crossed. She has a couple
You're
years yet
not.
before you drive her crazy all the time. It'll be
Dude,
fine.
She's like early
I think
teenager years, I think, right? Complex.
No, she's 9, going on
9,
24.
okay.
Going on 24.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got a few safe years left. You'll see.
Right.
But okay, I had a question
Ruby?
and then a comment.
Yeah, what's up?
So the first thing I wanted to know is, like, I would think, because I thought it was an interesting topic, because I would think that like a sapio male or female would be less likely to become infatuated, just because they're so kind of intellectual about everything in life, and they're looking for someone else's knowledge and wisdom and whatever to connect to. So that would involve a lot of getting to know someone on a deeper level. And so, if you fell for them, even if it was quickly, it wouldn't really be infatuation because it is based on something deeper.
Right.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like a chicken or egg, right? Because the thing is, infatuation is kind of like a short-lived thing, right? Versus now, if you're gonna ask me, no, I don't. I can't. I understand. Put it like this. I understand what infatuation is, so I can readily process it and just basically dispel it.
Okay.
I can kind of I can process it. I know what it is, and then it just kind of leaves. So let's just say, for example, I go to the grocery store, and I see a chick or whatever, and she's stunning, right? And then 2 seconds later, I see her boyfriend walk up, right? So whatever anything started to bubble or formulate, it's like gone, right? And then I'm on, right? And now that's pretty much
the natural ending. That's the more appropriate ending. Like that's what's supposed to happen.
But not only that, not only that, but look, at the end of the day, I went there to go get some bagels and get back to the house, right?
Right.
So. Look, it's
so
a whole
listen, so adding the chick and her boyfriend was not part of that initially.
We don't need. Yeah, it doesn't have to be. It's just like, okay, whatever. And plus, at this stage of my life, right? How many fucking times have I encountered that scenario? Too many times to know that all you need to do is just say "nice ass" and then keep it moving. Yeah. I'm sorry, Ruby. Go ahead.
Okay, but let me add this too, Ruby. Though the thing that helps sapio, because New is asking the same question in chat, like, can a sapio person be infatuated? Yes, they absolutely can. But here's the thing: see, if you're a sapio individual, it's about like your happiness, your fulfillment in terms of knowledge and education and stuff like that. That includes self. So introspection is done earlier in people who are considered to be sapiosexual. So they will understand what they're feeling. That's how they know, even if they don't know the word infatuation, they know that it's different. And so it's easily resolved. You'll be able to see the boyfriend walk up and be like, oh, yeah, that's it. Because why? Because I know me. I don't want to date a chick with a boyfriend. I don't want all that comes with. I've seen how that ends.
You don't want the entanglement?
No, you don't want the entanglement. Because you know why? Because you probably got other stuff going on and the entanglement gets in the way.
We talked about the other night about why do other women have I don't know if the word infatuation of stealing husbands.
We did talk about that. Yeah, chaos.
Wait, what?
So we had a stream and somehow it led to whether or not, like, why do people like to steal husbands? Like, what does
why women like to take other
Right.
girlfriends, husbands, or whatever.
Right. Like, what does she get out of that? What is that? Why is that a thing? Why is that a proud thing? So
I guess for the same reason dudes like to take other dudes' chicks.
right. It's all
Yeah.
about the moment right then, short-sighted, very selfish, and then want to complain about the consequences.
Probably because they're infatuated.
Well, you know what though? This all leads into the point I wanted to make, which I know probably initially on its face you're gonna disagree with, but hear me
Of
out.
course, Ruby. That's usually how it goes. But go ahead.
Right. I know, that's how we make it fun. So
Yeah,
so
Ruby.
hey, I am who I am. I can't
I
help it.
know it. I know. So let's let Ruby lay this out because she definitely brings the spice on the panel. So go ahead.
Thank you. Okay, so in my opinion, in our community, I'm not going to say this for the general population, but our community in the Western world, it's men that get infatuated with women a lot more than women get infatuated with men. I think that that is an issue. And I think the reason why that is, I mean, predominantly, right, when you work in all of the guards and the rhetoric and the whatever that's kind of, beaten into women from like birth, I think if we talk about women getting infatuated, period, we're not talking about them getting infatuated with the man. We're talking about them getting infatuated with a concept or the straw man that they built next to the man. This man, it's not about him. It's not about his looks or who he is, or, it's not about him. It's about this concept she created of a husband and a wedding and this and that, the keeping up with the Joneses thing. The man he's replaceable. She doesn't care if that's why she doesn't care if he was someone else's husband, or she doesn't care if anything. She just cares about this concept that she has in her head.
I got a question at the end.
Okay. That, she just wants to plug in whatever man. Whereas in men, especially in our community, they get very infatuated very quickly with this woman and they don't look deeper, right? So it's about her looks. It's about the, fat booty. It's about whatever her skills are in the bedroom. It's about whatever little play to submission that she's doing in the moment to get that ring. And he's not looking deeper for,
but by definition,
by
definition, that would be infatuation. It's short-lived. Right. It's a short-lived passion. It's intense, right, for someone, and that's all it is. So by definition, right, that's what it is. Now, I mean, the nature of it in terms of like what it is for men and what it is for women, or how either one experiences it. I mean, yeah, that's going to be different. I'm a guy. I experience shit differently than you guys do as women. However, we both can experience infatuation. Topaz, you got a question?
Oh no, she just answered it, because that was going to be my question. Is like, so I know Ruby says that women are more likely to get infatuated, and I see a lot of men getting infatuated like at the same rates. It's just the difference of what it is. So the women are infatuated with what the man can do for her, like let her brag about a wedding, and the men are infatuated on what the woman can do for him in terms of let him brag on how fat her ass is or how much she lets him get away with.
Why do you think all these guys? Why do you think all these guys go diving into, what do they say, the DMs and Instagram and all that? Why? What's the reason for that? Why? What would be the reason? Huh?
It's worse than DMs and Instagram, right?
Oh no, I'm just giving you.
They're pitching money at them, right?
No, I'm just saying.
At a fat ass working. Like,
well, no, I'm just saying. I'm giving you like a social media example of how it plays out, and there's no even like face-to-face interaction. This is just on an app. You think, whoa, dude, infatuated through an app? Wow.
And that's why it doesn't matter how many times we talk about, no, don't fall for this, don't do this, wrap it up, be responsible, pick someone you like, choose better. No matter how many times we say all of that, the infatuation wins out because it's an actual like feeling at the moment. So they will go and do something reckless and then have to live out the consequences of that. And then it's like, but we told you not to. And now the question is, well, why is us telling you not to not more, why does it not hold more weight than the feeling that you had at the moment? And that is because, I know, Complex, I'm just going to only say this sentence, but that is because we stomp out questions out of our kids very early. So by the time they're adults, They just are kind of like giving up on stuff and just going with the feeling that they have at the moment. They're not really thinking about a whole lot of stuff. We've stumped out creative thought. We've stumped out imagination. You can't imagine a world where if you do the right things, what it would be like and how fulfilled you would be to not have a bunch of extra baggage and consequences if you're not allowed to even dream. So that's why
and that's the difference though, right? Women, and that's why I said women really, I mean, I'm not saying none, right? I just say women get infatuated less. And the reason why actually is because women need to have that almost emotional or, you know, future creative process as far as I'm going to be a wife one day and a mother one day. Like we have that. But what happens is we're told what it is that we're looking for and what we need to get. And it has nothing to do with an individual, right? But whereas in men are very visual and they're told, oh, you want that fat booty, you want this, you want that, oh, she's whatever. So when they're going out, they're more able to become infatuated, even online, right? I want to stare at this chick and throw $100, right? Just because she's hot, right? You don't see women doing that. You don't see women chasing individual men very often, unless they're like the top 2%.
Are you saying that, I guess, for the reasons that women succumb to infatuation, it's what's the word I'm looking for? It's I don't want to say normal or acceptable. I guess what I'm trying more excusable.
Oh
no, what I'm saying is, in essence, the majority. I'm not saying all, but I'm saying the majority of women don't succumb to infatuation because they're not lusting after an individual. The individual
I would have to
in this
wholesale
picture,
disagree with that one.
I know, but hear me out, right? What they're dreaming for, what they want is a thing. They want the wedding. They want the being a missus. They want a ring. The person is interchangeable. They don't care if they've been dating this guy for 2 years and that guy won't give them a ring. So some other guy is willing to pop the question. They'll just go over there. They're not infatuated.
Let me do this.
You know that people can be infatuated with things, right?
I was going to say, let me do this. Let me read the definition again. An intense but short-lived passion or admiration for someone or something. Now,
right, but here's the difference.
Wait, whoa, hold on.
Sorry. Go ahead. I just didn't get to finish.
So now what we're talking about is another human being a conduit to said thing. And see, it still involves another human being. You can be because if you were infatuated with, you know, I don't know. I'm looking around in my room and I see a beanie. I have a beanie right here, right? I took my beanie off. I threw it on the floor. All right. So you're infatuated with beanies. Okay. That's your own infatuation with that beanie. I ain't got shit to do with it. Okay. All right.
Right.
But see, when you start telling me about stuff attached to another human, your infatuation has a little something to do with me, right? Because I then become the conduit to said thing. There's a difference here. We're talking about infatuation specifically as it relates to interpersonal dynamics between two individuals, right? You can be infatuated with something, right? But see, my infatuation with my beanie right here, which I need to put in the dirty clothes pile,
I can't believe
has literally nothing to do with you. Okay. Right. However, my infatuation with your ass has everything to do with you.
Right.
That's just what I mean. So what we need to do is understand distinctions, right? There's certain things, right? So if we're going to do that, then what we're not going to do is say that, well, women get infatuated with things, but it's different from guys. Bullshit.
No, actually,
both men and women. No. Women. Wait, hold on. Women are infatuated with men just as men are infatuated with women. It happens the same way. Whatever the motivations are is something separate. A woman can be infatuated with a guy, right? Because right off the rip, he didn't let her know what time it is and how he's rolling with the bank account and how he's dipping and diving in the whip. Okay, so Yeah, short-lived. Don't really know much about how we got all that, but I like what I'm looking at. Bullshit. Okay,
Okay,
women get it the way they get infatuated.
Okay, so here's what I said, which again, I never said that all women. Again very much clarified that there are definitely some women who think about men as though they are people, and so therefore, obviously, get infatuated. I'm talking about a large segment of our community, and this is the difference, right? Is that the man in and of himself is never anything more than an interchangeable blank face. They put on a show to try to get that man to give them what it is that they want, but they have no passion for the man. They don't even really have a passion for the ring or for the wedding or for the house with the white picket fence or whatever. Hold on, let me finish.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
They have this whole plan laid out for them when they're 5 or 6 years old of these are the markers you have to hit as an adult once you become a woman, right?
Mhm.
In order for you to say, I'm keeping up with the Joneses, I've made it, right? So you're not actually attached to or passionate about any one of those markers or those milestones. You do
Mhm.
need, obviously, a man to fulfill that, because you can't say well, I mean, again, some women are doing it, but for the
Mhm.
most part, non-crazy people can't say that you got married without a man. But the passion, right, even if it's temporary, is not really there. He is just a conduit towards them going through the next 5 markers that they need in life in order for them to get to this magical place they think
But
is going to bring them
but
happiness.
Ruby,
Wait,
but
wait,
Ruby.
let me finish. That they think is going to bring them some type of happiness or
Mhm.
success or fulfillment, that they've been lied to about that, right? Whereas
Mhm.
I'm comparing that to men who have been told that realistically they need to be happy inside of their homes with another human being. And that other human being is important insofar as their relationship with them. Yes, sexual fulfillment, of course, that woman, as far as her raising their children, so on and so forth. And
Okay.
because of, wait, let me finish. I let you finish.
But
Because of some physical surface attributes that draw them in, they develop that infatuation attachment to this woman, right? And attribute a whole bunch of stuff to who she must be and how she must be able to fulfill all of those things he's looking for, right? And they get lost in that passion. They get
who is
lost
this
in
guy
that
you're talking
emotion
about?
for the woman.
Who is this guy you're talking about?
I'm talking about tens of thousands of people. I bet you we can go into Facebook right now and find tens of thousands of them pitching money at some chick and saying, please call me.
Okay. See, so Ruby, what I'm trying not to do is go down that slippery slope, right? Because if we go back to the definition of infatuation, it says it. It's short-lived, right? So what the fuck
Yes.
was all of that for? What is it all for?
What do you mean? What is it for?
What was it all for? It's short-lived. What do you
Right.
do?
Well,
What do you? No. Hold on.
oh, what's the purpose of
What was
infatuation?
No. What? No. I'm saying so that whole scenario you just gave me.
Yeah.
If it all of the everything and the look in my head, right? I'm gonna tell you like this,
Mm-hmm.
dude. I don't look. In fact, see, infatuation has the definition is one sentence. This is how simple it is. It's
Yeah.
literally one sentence. So the soliloquy, I get it. However, right? Infatuation is infatuation. And it's summed up, simple and short. It's a short-lived passion. Short.
Right. So where was the
Okay.
short-lived or passion in what I described with the women?
Wait. Because
What's the question
it's a
for you?
question. Wait,
Yeah.
what? Wait, say it again.
I asked where was the short-lived or the passion in what I described with the women?
Where was the short-lived? And what?
Yes. Or the passion.
I'm not really sure because it became that this thing about what it is that women are actually infatuated, and I'm like, well, look, I'm not really splitting hairs.
Well,
Wait, because I'm not, because the definition is, it's like I said, it's so simple that it's one sentence. It's
but what are
either
they
for
passionate
some,
about?
wait, hold on. It's either for someone or for something. And
Yes.
in this conversation, we're talking about it being for someone. So this is where when you start interjecting, well, it doesn't necessarily have to be about someone. I'm like,
No, that's
okay,
what he said.
but with regards to this conversation, we're talking about people being infatuated with each other, right?
Mhm.
And so with that in mind, it's very simple. That infatuation is short-lived. And so what we were trying to do is really just talk about the word and the emotive itself, because a lot of people do not understand that oftentimes what they are is just infatuated with a person. They don't really love them. And what they'll do is uh, they'll do very permanent things to their lives, right?
Mhm.
And a bout of infatuation, which is something that is short-lived. So then the question becomes, well, if you understand that this is something that's just short-lived, why would you do something to permanently impact your life in a way that you don't quite want if you were just simply infatuated with someone?
Mm-hmm. And I
That's
guess
it.
all I'm adding to that is, again, because I do think that it impacts men more, and I think that's a big
What
problem
no what
within that. Hold on,
Ruby,
just let me finish the sentence.
I know, but
Let, just
we're really
let
not
me finish the
trying
sentence.
to, we're
But
not
let
really
me finish the sentence,
okay,
please.
go ahead,
Okay. And so a big problem is because infatuation is literally meant to bring two people together, and they take that time during that infatuation to get to know each other and connect more deeply, drives them together. So that way, when infatuation fades, love remains, that bonds them together for a longer period of time. And infatuation is a normal process of this. I think a big problem, and the reason why infatuation is more of a dangerous thing these days, is because people are becoming infatuated with a person who does not know how to emotionally connect back, because they aren't thinking about the person. They're not even really thinking about themselves. They're thinking about something 10 years in the future they think is going to bring them finally happiness or fulfillment or fill those holes or whatever. And so you kind of have two people sitting in relationships have,
Uh-oh. Okay, she's
Okay, now this
if
is the thing.
you
The difference between love and infatuation is when it ends. Infatuation ends 3 months in. Love, you're still going 30, 40 years. The second thing is that, okay, so Ruby Pavlov would disagree with you, right? Because, okay, let's deal with the fact that we're talking about
leads to
if we're
marriage,
not
leads to
if we're
deeper
not
success.
right now, if we're not talking just about relationships, women do get infatuated with things. They get infatuated with jewelry, with clothes, with hair, whatever. That's fine, right? And it's okay, because with those inanimate objects, how much can you tie your life to them unless you're spending your life savings on them, and then you got a deeper problem. But otherwise, for the most part, you don't have to like throw your life away behind an infatuation with something that is short-lived, that you can easily change to something else. Now, finally, if we're talking about relationships, even if the woman gets infatuated with weddings and she doesn't care about the guy is just like a faceless placeholder, she still gets like, because of classical conditioning, right? If she's gonna then be obsessed with and infatuated with the type of guy she thinks will and can give that to her. So she's going to go out and look for a certain type of guy. She's still out looking for guys. She still has a certain guy she's picking, right? Even though the end goal isn't him. The end goal will be the wedding. Now, why does infatuation matter? Because once she's done with the wedding, once they're back from the honeymoon, it's lackluster now. It's over. But now you're trapped in a marriage with this guy. So just because they stay together doesn't mean that love prevailed underneath that. It means they're just going to go ahead and just ride it out.
Yeah, because people don't know how to use infatuation for its purpose. Because its purpose, every person who is married for a very long time starts off that relationship with infatuation, both parties, right? And you ride that wave, and it's a great wave, but you take that 8 to 12
That's
months
actually
to
not
bond with each
true,
other.
because that didn't happen with me. That's why I'm like, no. I mean, look, infatuation is
That's
infatuation,
rare.
and what? Well, it's. I don't. How do we can't quantify that? I'm just giving you my own experience. I don't know how many other people.
Well, they've done
Um.
research on it.
Well,
So
I mean, well, have you asked every single person that they're in a relationship with now? Like, how do you know the person? How did you get to? I mean, come on. Come on. I don't know.
well, they've done
I would
research
know.
on infatuation.
Wait, hold on. the reality of it, and like I said, I'm not trying to actually go there with the conversation. I don't know how long you were listening in. This really just has more to do with people recognizing an emotion. That's really all it is, right? Because people will tend to do dumb things in a bout of infatuation. Now, listen, as far as how guys are infatuated, how women are infatuated, like this conversation, I try to keep it very unisex so that you don't get into like the particulars of something that, quite honestly, I don't even succumb to. So I would be arguing, or I'm not okay.
So you mentioned it earlier, so that was my response when you mentioned it. That women become infatuated more because they're more emotional, and I said, well, you know, in my opinion, because of the
No,
dysfunction
I
and
said
whatnot. So
men
that's
and
why
women. No, I said men and women both become
I know you
infatuated.
said that they both
I didn't
do,
say
but you
one.
did say more
Well,
at one
well,
point.
no. What I said was that I said women deal with it more. Okay, women deal with it more. Men become infatuated as well. They just do it differently. That's why I said you got so many dudes who are infatuated with chicks on Instagram. They've never seen these women in their lives. They're in their DMs, sit them say, "Hey, here's money so we can go meet up and all this other shit." Never seen this person in their entire lives. It's a difference. I don't know why we always have to say, "Well, men and no." Okay, there is a concept called infatuation, right? It's simple in concept. However, it's expressed differently between men and women. It's no different than when the live stream we did earlier, and the chick came up and she was talking about intellectualism, and I said, okay, well, you're talking about the exercise of intellectualism, right? I said that's engagement, like in a debate or something like that. I said, but then there's your masculine mindset as a man, and then your feminine mindset as a woman, and then there's how you intelligently move through that. I said that's a whole different subject altogether. So
Well, I guess maybe because we disagree about like the basis of what infatuation
no,
is,
there's no
what its
well,
purpose
Ruby,
is.
there's no disagreement. It's really, look, it's very simple, right? It is what it is. It's in the definition. That's why I'm not going to argue what it is. Okay, I'm merely just talking about it as an emotion that people experience. Okay, who
Right.
who experiences it more or less, dude? I don't give a shit.
Well, I'm not
It's
talking
just
about that. I'm
well,
just saying that maybe I think you're taking like my perspective and why I gave it wrong because I have a different viewpoint of what infatuation is. I think obviously, yes, it can be very harmful if you are becoming infatuated with random Instagram chicks and random, you know, dudes on whatever, and throwing your life away or throwing your life savings away or whatever, chasing this fleeting feeling.
did you
Obviously,
hear the
so it can
part?
be
Did
dysfunctional.
you hear the part about, like, so, like, for example, educating especially children when they're getting to, like, say, prepubescent, right, getting into puberty stage, right, where, okay, and early on explaining things to them in such a way where you say, oh, what you're experiencing is puppy love, instead of saying, well, what you're experiencing is puppy love, you say, like, as I would say to my daughter, well, babe, you're infatuated with that young man. Now,
Mhm.
if she looks at me, she goes, well, what do you mean infatuated? What do you mean? Then I'll pull up a dictionary and I'll read the word to her, or the
Mhm.
definition to her. And what it is that she'll begin to understand is that infatuation is something that is short-lived. This is the key point. So the idea here is to drive home an
Don't
understanding
get
of,
comfortable.
of what, thank you, what our emotions actually mean. Because if you understand that what my feelings are just short-lived, they won't be here
Mhm.
next week or in a month from now. Because what? They're short-lived. Why would I do something stupid? Because they're going to be short-lived.
I
And
think you
this is all we're talking about. Go ahead, Topaz.
I think you guys okay, so this is what I think is happening here. So, Ruby, you're a developmental psychologist, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so Ruby, like, okay, because you know, Ruby and I did our series, and then we went back and forth. We had a bunch of discussions. We didn't agree on everything and the definition and the causes and whatnot. And it's because, like, when you're a developmental psychologist, that is what you literally are trained to look for. Is, you know, what are the differences? It changed over the course of history, and why? Who was responsible? You know, like, it's the viewpoint. And so I'm more behavior analysis, so it's very straightforward. It's much more weight placed on what I can see and what I think is appropriate, what I think may be driving that behavior, and what I need to do to either change or maintain it for what I think is appropriate for society. So I think it's more of like the focus on what the point of the conversation is different between the two of you guys.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. It because that it kind of derailed over into an area where I wasn't really intending to take it. Right. That's why I kept trying to steer it back more towards, like, in the context of, let's just say, social media conversations that are had. Okay. And what you never hear is infatuation being a part of why it is that maybe, say, people do things with other people when they're attracted to them. Okay, but you never hear the word infatuation come up, or you never ever hear people talk about, well, you know, I was once infatuated with this person. They never use these words, right? So what that often tells me is that people really don't have a real firm grasp of their own emotions.
And with that being said, so my question to Ruby, right, is, you know, like, so why do you think infatuation is even a thing? Because it's obviously like, okay, so you know, in line with being a developmental psychologist, right? Other things we no longer do. They have been phased out of our behaviors and instincts through, you know, evolution, and we no longer need it, and all the other things we have at our disposal, you know, what have you, right? So why do you think infatuation is still a thing if so many people have gotten hurt by making long-term decisions based on short-term emotion? Why have we yet to figure that part out?
Well, the thing is, we stopped evolving 10,000 years ago. And that's why, for example, even though a car or a gun is more dangerous to us in this day and age, our brains respond and recognize spiders and snakes more quickly, right? So then we haven't evolved out of anything. We societally train people for things, right? And that's why you can say have a broken culture, because you haven't trained people within that society to do something different, to override their natural instincts because they're no longer helpful, or to try to shape those natural instincts in a way that's going to be more helpful. But, you know, in the case of infatuation, like I said, you're going to have all kinds of people that you're going to encounter, right? Not all of those people you're going to react to, right? Part of the chemical thing that's happening inside of your brain, right, is connecting the visuals, smells, you know, everything that they are emitting, and drawing you to that and fascinating you with that, right? Now, that's not a bad thing, because that's basically telling you on a physiological, psychological level, like, oh, this would be a good match. So, you know, I should mate with that person and create babies with them. Right. But in the current society, obviously, that's not the best way to go about things. It's just everyone that you feel that type of infatuation, create babies. We got to make the society bigger, and who cares? No. And so we should use that initial feeling, that spark that happens, that's drawing us to a person, and making us fascinated with them, to delve deeper, try to learn more things about this person, because infatuation can last anywhere from 8 months to a year. Like, it can last for a good long time, which is why people can totally invest their lives into someone until, you know, all of a sudden one day it clears and you're like, what the hell?
I would say unless a pregnancy happens in that time, then that shit, like, usually just kind of like shit cans right.
Yeah, the person is going to be feeling like they're living a lie.
You're on a high until that.
Yeah, they're not going to want to keep that going. Like, so what happens is, after that year is over, they feel like, oh, that was a lie. Like, that's what happened. That's the ending to infatuation. Is you feel like, oh yeah, well, that doesn't matter anymore, right? So, like Complex said, if there's not a kid involved, then they will probably end up breaking up, because they will be then forcing, once they realize it's infatuation and instead of love, they will then be forcing themselves to stay and it's gonna be not
yeah,
happy.
it's in the definition. It's short-lived. That's why I was like, well. I mean, we can go down the slippery slope, but when we read it, it's short-lived. Short-lived. That means ed. That means it's done.
Yeah, past. Like at some
Yeah,
point there
we
is
done.
an ending. There is a foreseeable ending. Now I will say,
And it's short, but we also
it's
have
quick.
to note
It's quick.
It ain't long.
Comparatively.
It's quick.
I will say, according to my theoretical orientation, right? I think we can't know whether it's love or infatuation until it ends. What happens is when you are 60 years in the game, oh yeah, that probably was love. It hasn't ended yet, so I guess we're still going. Or either infatuation, it's been 6 months and like, oh Lord, what was I thinking? I wish if I hadn't, I wouldn't even.
There's a clear difference. Yeah.
No, I think if you get to the 2-year mark in a relationship, and you still want to be in that relationship because you're rose-colored glasses, right? Infatuation is basically rose-colored glasses. You don't notice all of their habits that would normally irk you, and if you do, you think they're cute, right? And then suddenly the rose-colored glasses go away, and now you want to shove like a spike in their eye. So
wait a minute,
like
you always go there, no.
And you still want to be there, right? Then at that point, you've gone past infatuation into falling in love and loving that person for who they are, and the good outweighs the bad. So you want to be there.
Okay, but Ruby, here's the thing, right? So rose-colored glasses. If you are falling in love with somebody, you will still see their flaws, but you would feel like the good outweighs the bad, or either that is tolerable, or at the very least, you would understand why that's part of the personality of the person that you love. For instance, you have a guy that gets so driven about a project from work, and he's just throwing his heart, and he's very dedicated. He's really in love with the career he chose. He's one of the lucky people to live that way. So when he comes home, he might leave some socks, by the door or something as he's taking them off and going directly to the home office. If you love him for that, then you're going to understand that that's part of it. So you will see it. If you won't have on rose-colored glasses, you'll see it and you'll understand it as part of it. Infatuation is not seeing it. Infatuation is with rose-colored glasses, so that you don't pay attention to that. As you're picking it up, you're still thinking about la la la, all the beautiful reasons why.
It is an intense but short-lived passion or admiration for someone or something. It's an intense but short-lived. That's all it is. Once it's done, it's freaking done, son.
Yeah, but I was explaining why it goes away complex. Why is it short-lived? The short-lived is because you're ignoring some stuff instead of paying attention. When you love somebody, it stays because you pay attention. You made your peace with that already. So I get what you're saying, complex. I know. I'm not up here doing what you hate, like when people just keep changing stuff. I know.
Because like I said, what I don't like to do is just beat a dead horse, right? Like I already know that. I already know what it is. Right. That's why I don't want to like smash it into atoms and then like let's look at all the atoms now. It's like, no, it's like here's what it is.
Well,
it's short-lived. That's it.
I do like to smash it into atoms and look at the atoms and then talk about the relation. I get that. That's my field and not yours. So that's
and it's like, okay, well, wait. This is like a Sapio
thing.
It
is short-lived. I know.
Right. It's short-lived, right? So what is it that we're not? See, that's why I'm like, okay, if it's short-lived, then just accept that it's short-lived.
Right.
Most people are not. Like most people don't.
It's not about
life the way you think life. Like no, honestly, most people go through life responding to their instincts without realizing that's what they're doing and being driven by like the emotional. Whereas you think everything, right? Most people are not that clear-headed about life and the decisions that they're making because they're driven by instinct and by emotion. They don't have that same ability to be so cognizant of self.
Right. And so given that this live stream is called the Sapio-Males Guide to the Galaxy, this is thinking space, right? So this is where we're kind of like people don't understand that what they're actually oftentimes is infatuated. Now us as thinking individuals, we understand what that word means. And so when I also see that people do things because they don't know that they are actually just infatuated with someone, guess what that tells me? They don't know what it means.
I think the problem is that it's not that they don't know what the word infatuation means. It's that they don't believe that what they are experiencing is infatuation. Because
Well,
in the moment,
then,
it doesn't feel like infatuation. It
well,
feels real.
no, but the definition says it: an intense but short-lived passion or
Right.
admiration. Okay, so that this is okay. So
How do you know it's short-lived until it ends?
but wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. Okay, so we're 1 week in, right? And you're thinking of having babies with this person.
Mhm.
That I would say that would fall under the definition of intense but short-lived, right? Because, like I said, try doing that.
No, you're
Try.
absolutely right if you
Oh,
do it. But
okay,
here's the
okay.
thing. Can I use a personal example? So with
Uh,
me, and my husband, and he said basically the same thing. I knew on like day 3, I'm gonna marry this man. He said that, the first time I fell asleep watching a movie on the couch or whatever, and he looked at me and said, I'm gonna marry this woman. I mean, and so now that was very short into the relationship. Right. So the problem is that it might be very intense, but not everything intense is going to be short-lived. And so people don't
then I
believe
would
that the
not
one that they're
say
experiencing is short-lived.
by definition, what you guys were not dealing with was infatuation, because by definition, infatuation is short-lived. That's why I don't. I can we just it's
No, we're
short-lived.
agreeing on that, but I guess the
Okay.
problem is that while you're in the middle of it, you don't know it's going to be short-lived until after it's done. And then
I
you can look back in retrospect and say, oh, that was just
and,
infatuation. It wasn't
right,
real love.
right, and I suppose that could happen. But what I'm actually, again, I'm trying to circle it back to the mere fact that what people do is they make very rash decisions. Let's take current. Well, I don't know if it's not so current now because the manosphere is so weird nowadays. I don't even know what's what anymore, and I don't listen to a bunch of shit. So let's just say we go back a couple months. It was always the single mother talk, right? Single mother,
Mhm.
single mother, single mother. How do you how do you how do you how do you what is like what's going on in women's heads, right? When they kind of think to do what they do and then end up in those situations, right?
Mhm.
Oftentimes, what do you think was the driver behind that? Were they really in love? Was that guy really in love with them? Was that what was going on? Were they in a loving marriage? Oftentimes, is that what's going on? I don't know. I get a sense of a lot of infatuation. I mean, I've seen it with my eyes because
Yeah.
I don't actually see these children being born out of loving relationships. I don't see that. What I saw a chick who was turned on by a dude, and for whatever reason, and then I saw a dude who was turned on by the ass, right? And because raw feels better than wrapped up, what happens? Now, do you want to parse those details? Do you want to split the hairs there?
I mean, I
Well,
would, but I'm not going to on your panel. So I think what you're trying to say is you can do all of that, but if it's like to know whether it's love or infatuation and not make a big decision hastily, that you would like if it's only been the first year, you would continue wrapping it up. If it lasts longer than a year, it's probably not infatuation.
But
Go ahead and hit it raw.
this is and like that's why I'm like, okay, my meaning wasn't really to go like I said into that direction with it. It was more kind of to keep it on more of like a smart decision making,
Right.
right? Not into the particulars of what infatuation or how. I'm like, well, I'm just sticking to the definition. Oh, here's what I do know: it's short lived at the end of the day.
Right.
Okay, and that's where I'm really trying to stay because that's what it is. It's short lived at the end of the day, right?
Right.
And I'm
right.
saying that if you don't understand what it is, then you're prone to doing dumb shit in a situation that's short lived. That's not a smart
Right.
thing to do. That's really
No.
the ultimate point.
Right. And I think, well, I don't know. I mean, at least what I'm offering is a reason and a solution. right? And Topaz kind of said the exact same response that I would have, which is this: that problem of making that rash decision and jumping in because of the feelings that you feel. It could lead to something deeper in the future or not, but the point is that you should wait out the length of the maximum length that infatuation can last, right? Which is a year. So if you don't make any rash decisions or movements, don't get pregnant, don't move in together, don't do anything crazy with each other, don't spend your life savings, don't do any of that for a year. Because if you haven't developed love, actual genuine bonds and connections after a year, there's no way that there's going to be any more infatuation. You'll be able to see that clearly and be able to extricate yourself without there having been now a kid, a marriage, all of that, right? Whereas in, just saying, well, you should just know that this is going to be short-lived. People don't. So instead of telling them to, rationalize their feelings, feel your feelings, think
But
that it's real all you want, but
that's
don't
not
react.
ideal.
Oh wait,
Ideal.
I'm sorry. Is this okay? Hey, how are you doing? Welcome. Your first
I
time here.
know. I'm sorry. Like that's just not ideal. Men, I hate to say it, but y'all don't love us like that.
Wait, you said y'all. Who are you speaking? Y'all
I'm
who?
talking about men in general.
Y'all. Well, okay.
Uh,
I can't really speak on behalf of men. Do you speak on behalf of all women, or do you speak
I'm
on behalf
speaking.
of you?
No, I'm speaking on all women, and I'm speaking on me as in general.
Okay.
Men, y'all
Well,
just
I disagree with you, so you're
What,
not
what, what,
speaking for
what,
me.
what? No, it's okay. Hold on. Are you familiar with like where you're at? Do you come here often? Just
no,
curious.
not in your space. As far as what,
Well,
like
no. Do you
in
know
your
what this?
YouTube space,
No, I'm
or
asking. Like, are you familiar with this channel?
no?
Okay, you're not familiar with this channel.
Mm-mm.
Okay. How did you get here? Just curious.
I don't. I think I just like stumbled upon it,
You stumbled upon it. Okay.
but
So,
I
so
can
wait.
speak
So
on.
hold on. Well, hold on. Because like, do you know? Did you read the title of the video? There's the actual topic.
Yeah,
Okay. So, do you know that the topic is about infatuation?
definitely.
Okay. So, here's the thing, right? It doesn't have anything to do with love because do you know what the definition of infatuation is?
Yeah, and I know the definition of love too.
Well,
Like
okay, but see, that's the thing, right? So the topic of this live stream is not about love; it's about infatuation. And so
what's
when you what? So hold on. So because I run this platform, right? So we're gonna have the dialogue the way I run it. So what we got to understand here is that one, um, we won't come here and say what it is that black men don't do because one, you're not familiar with this platform, so you're not familiar with the type of men that this platform is comprised of. So I would say that you would be making a gross assumption that it's wholly wrong and incorrect. So I'm going to stop you right there, right? It's the reason why we don't do live streams called Why Single Mothers Ain't Shit, and we do live streams on sapiosexualism. You get where I'm going with this?
no, but infatuation and like
Well, wait. If
single
you don't, so
mothers. What's
wait,
the
hold on. If you
difference?
don't know where I'm going with it, then I'll continue to clarify for you. I just need you to understand where you are. And if you don't know where you are, then what I'll ask you to do is drop down and then listen in some more. And then you can come in and then contribute to the conversation. Because you kind of came in and you said, well, black men don't love black women. And I'll tell you this much. I find that grossly insulting given that I'm the widowed
What's the difference
single
between
father. Well,
infatuation?
hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second. What you're not going to do is come here and tell me as a black man what I don't do. You
I'm not
understand me?
trying to control your channel or
Okay.
nothing.
Well, no. What I'm saying is that what you won't come here, what you won't do is you won't come here and say that. Let's just make sure we got that clear. You won't come here and you won't say that, especially with me standing right here. We won't do that. Are we clear?
Hmm.
Okay, so from that point going forward, what you got on the infatuation topic?
And like I want to know the difference between infatuation and love. Like,
Okay. So, infatuation is defined as an intense but short-lived passion or admiration for someone or something. What does love have to do with infatuation?
I thought women was talking about that too.
Well, this is the Sapio-Males Guide to the Galaxy. I just so happen to have the lovely Topaz and Classic Ruby here, but this is like a kind of like a male-driven platform.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to drop down then.
Okay, well, you have a good evening.
Can I just add one thing to your definition? I know you read the definition, but on a social level, just to add that in, infatuation is not built on deeper, intangible, bonded connections between two people. It's not based on knowing someone deeply, really truly understanding and appreciating them, being connected to them, right? Love is. Infatuation is very surface. It's really kind of based on nothing. It's you'll dismiss red flags, you'll dismiss stuff that you normally hate, whatever, because it's so intense and you're so fixated and fascinated with this individual or this thing or whatever it is you're infatuated with, right? It's not deep and it's going to end. It's a chemical process. It only lasts so long. After about 8 months to a year maximum, it's just going to disappear, right? Love is something that is A, work, and B, has to be deeper and more bonded and connected, and is not going to just magically disappear one day because it was based basically on surface bullshit. That's changeable. So, but you know what? That brings up a great point, Complex, because you said like people don't know or understand what it is that they are feeling or experiencing, right? And there's not a difference or an understanding of that connection, right? And that's why I'm like, if you don't understand at all, like you legitimately don't, I just say, hey, let's slap a timeline on it. Don't make decisions, don't do anything, have babies, get married, move in together, sign loans for each other. Don't do anything like that for the first year, period. Doesn't matter how deeply you feel, how much you think, oh no, this time it's different. Just wait it out, because if it's true and you're right, and this is a real bond and a real connection, and really deep and meaningful, it will still exist in 365 days. So there's no rush.
Yeah, Creole Cajun Lemon, she said, I think today people are infatuated with being in love. So that's almost like a double infatuation.
Yeah, that is the thing.
Yeah.
Like infatuation squared.
That's like infatuation times 2. That's like even worse.
Infatuation with infatuation. Yep.
Yeah, you're infatuated with the being in some. It's like, how do you?
Oh,
wait. You gotta wait. How do we execute that one?
Right.
That's like almost like adrenaline junkies, right? Like we keep chasing the next fix. They had some type of special, I can't remember what it was. And a few people were talking about this, and they were talking about like the fact that that's what they do. They get into a relationship with someone to ride out that high, and as soon as it drops off, even if they actually have deep, real feelings for this person, that's not good enough. They don't want the deep real. They want the infatuation. They'll cut that off and go searching for the next one, and they'll just keep doing it.
What it is, it's the excitement. It's the roller coaster. It's all that bullshit. My ex-girlfriend, man, this was like years ago. But I mean, this is how I personally, that's why, you know what, look, it just, okay. For any women out there, Silky Red, particularly you, look, it's not wise to tell a fucking dude like what he thinks and how he is. Okay? Like, I'm the one who's lived my goddamn life. I'll tell you. All right? Now, look, I know a little something about the infatuation shit, right? Because I kind of went through it with like my first serious relationship, right? Because what I learned the hard way that's what the fuck it was. Now, did I ultimately, have some feelings and all that kind of shit? Yeah, but it was all to find out that, look, it wasn't what I thought it was.
Right.
Okay. See, so that's why I'm like, dude, let's not go down this slippery slope because you know what? Here's what I do know. I know I'm a 43-year-old fucking man. I think I know what it is. I think I know as a man, I think I know that I have the capability to love a black woman. That's why I called bullshit on it. I think I know what it means like to be infatuated with someone. Hell, we even talked about experiencing it from middle school on up. I'm like, what the fuck is it that we're arguing and debating about? We're grown adults. We don't know what this shit is by now.
People let in too much
none of
negativity.
it is a mystery to me. Like seriously, I'm sitting here like, well, god damn. I'm like, wow. Yeah, I have an idea of what love is. I know what infatuation is. I haven't. We're adults. We don't know this shit by now.
You know what? A lot of people have never experienced what you had with your wife. A lot of people have never experienced something real and deep and bonded and connected. So they have nothing to compare what they're doing now to say, oh, that's real. That's deep. That's connection. That's real love. They don't know, and they've never even seen it modeled in their households and their communities. So they don't know.
Right. And then look what Mom put. She said that she didn't know her husband when she got married. Like, she was 18 years old. But I want to know, like, at the time when you were 18, did you know that you didn't know him? Or did you feel like at 18 you knew him and then you realized as you got older and grew with him that you didn't know him at first, but now you do?
Complex is kind of echoey again.
Wait, say that again.
It's echoey again.
Oh, wait. Hold on 1 second. I have to do my fix.
And you have to tell us. You have to tell us what this fix is.
Oh, the StreamYard hack.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna sell that, man. This is a
Don't
tech
tell nobody.
No, this is a tech channel over here,
No,
right?
I get
we
it.
come up with the solutions, and we ain't gonna be giving it to the rest of you.
I mean, like, I completely.
I'll hit you guys. I'll hook you guys up on the back chat. But,
all right, cool.
I'm not sharing it, man. I had to go through hell to learn that hack. God damn it.
Right.
Now I'm gonna do this like Silky Red. I'm not really sure why you came back up. I'm not really sure like why you came back up.
Oh.
Turn off the feed. Turn off the feed hack. Okay, wait. I didn't know him in a sense. We dated for 6 months. I wasn't mature enough. Okay, but that's her even saying she wasn't mature enough.
Yeah, but she also is saying that like they stayed together. Like she just kind of jumped in there and it ended up paying off for her. So the research that I've done on infatuation is like that is like the exception, right?
Right.
Exactly. Mom could come up here and say, well, there were some clues that let me know that I was gonna be okay and that it was a good idea, and that's why I decided to jump. But no, she says I was lost. I know this now. So see, she just kind of lucked out. It doesn't work out that way. So when people see Baum's story, and it is an amazing story because her and Mr. Baumchair is so cute together, but that's not for everybody. That's not gonna happen for everybody. And then even if it doesn't happen for you, you and the other person have to both choose to keep it together. You know, like, and how likely is that? Either one of y'all could decide no. It has to be both of you to decide yes and to continue deciding yes. And that's just not very likely because infatuation is real passionate at first and it burns out. It's why it's why you don't make a fire burn out too fast. I forgot the terms for it, but that's a name for it.
Mm-hmm. But you know what though? This is the difference between Bomb Cherry's generation and the current young generation out there, right? Is she felt like an old maid at 18. Her purpose was to get married, have a family, and have children. So infatuation, I would say back in, I'm not trying to age you, Bomb Cherry, but you go back a few decades, and
You just
infatuation
aged her.
was, I know, I'm sorry, but
And it's more about the morals of that time frame. Like back, divorce
back
was not a
then,
thing. Even if you
yeah,
didn't like them, you was gonna stay together, and that's why they didn't nobody yelled at either of the spouses for staying through something difficult because you was expected to. Like that was the answer. And that once they made divorces okay around the 60s and 70s, then people started breaking up for stuff. But back then, you made that jump. Now you're gonna stick with it. You're gonna stick with it till you die. For real.
but it was like normal. It was normal for, hey, you know what? You guys are kids in love, basically, right? And love really was infatuation at that time. And that was basically your arranged marriage in a way, right? Because that was your basis for jumping into
Well,
marriage. And then the
not
infatuation
necessarily,
burns out. Hold on.
not
And then the
necessarily
infatuation
arranged.
burns out. And now y'all don't really know each other. And you're going to have to build a relationship and knowing each other and love and connection from scratch, because you didn't jump into the marriage because you had all of that. You're very young. You jumped into the
Yeah.
marriage because of temporary infatuation, right?
Okay,
I mean,
but Ruby, it wasn't arranged though. Arranged marriage, none of this matters because you didn't have a say so anyway. The key point of that is that they both chose. Like they were dating, they liked each other, they were dating for 6 months, and then they decided. Both people had to decide. He had to decide to ask her. She had to decide to say yes. And then every day they have to keep waking up saying, "Okay, I'm learning more. I'm learning more. Whether I like it or not, I'm gonna still stay." So they could have easily gotten a divorce, but they didn't. They just stayed. They
Yeah,
worked.
that was just
That was a
commitment.
choice.
It was commitment.
right. No, when I
They
said
just committed
sorry,
to it, right? But
to be
I'm
clear, when
thinking,
I said arranged, I didn't mean arranged marriage. What I meant though, like if you think about an arranged marriage, right? People get together and then build love. They don't really know each other. And so what I'm saying is that back then, infatuation doesn't cause you to know someone deeply and understand them and know you're going to love them forever and blah, blah, blah. But that was the jump off point. So that got them into the marriage. Now it burned out. You're like, shit, I don't even like this person, but you're
well,
already there. So you
well, I
better
would
figure it
say,
out.
well, this is what's interesting. She said that we were married 5 years before children. Now, okay, now that's good. Because you've had 5
I'm
years.
sorry, Bomb. We gotta dissect your marriage on here, okay?
I know. Why? What are we
We're
doing?
using it for the topic
Like,
because you're
I'm
good at it.
sorry. I'm sorry. We're dissecting your marriage here, but no, I mean 5 years. Like for me, it was what it was. I mean, it's 3 years before our daughter, right?
Right,
But there's a lot of time that you have to just be paired, right?
right.
So in that time, if you haven't like torn each other's hair out and and basically the passion hasn't faded in that amount of time,
Right.
I would say thumbs up. But I think what happens here is that people have like time frames, right, with regards to relationships and childbirth, and so like I don't like to say the actual name, but Seven Granules. Okay, on his show, you always hear women come on, and then like they hit their 30s, right? Well, I was doing my career. Now I'm in my 30s. Now I got to get this, and they're like crunching all of these life's events right into this like condensed timeline, right? And like there's no like organic elements, right, that are able to unfold to ensure that like there's a strong continuity bond there. It's not there. We're trying to line it up. I need to find this high value guy. We need to do this. I need to get first kid by 32, and then this one by this one. And I guess what? This guy's just supposed to just toe the line and come right along with all this shit.
Well, this is the thing with that. The women that you're referring to, most likely they were infatuated with their career, right? So they put that above. Like there could have been men around them that they could have made a genuine connection with. And I'm not speaking for all of them. I'm saying it's a possibility. They don't know because they were infatuated with the career. And so now that infatuated ended. And then they're going to another infatuation, because this is another thing I don't know if Complex is getting ready to talk about, but it keeps happening. You keep having infatuations unless you understand that you're supposed to ride out the infatuation, let it die, grieve, and then be capable of love. If you don't ever get that down pat, then it's gonna keep happening. So you
Yeah,
jump
we
from
had touched on that.
infatuation,
Yeah, we
right?
touched on that earlier. That what happens is that because it's intense and it's short lived.
It
What
feels
happens is
good,
there's
and then
that,
you
and
get hooked on that
yeah,
adrenaline, and
it's
then you do another infatuation.
right. It's
From
the
infatuation of
endorphins.
career to infatuation with getting married and having kids before 35, like an ideal. That's the standard that they have. Like, okay, I'm 30, I got the career, now I gotta hurry up and get married and have kids before 35. That becomes the new obsession, that becomes the new infatuation. And then if that doesn't work out, then there's the grief and all of that. Or either they end up with a guy that you feel like can promise you that, and then once that dies, now it's another infatuation. Infatuation will prove to him that I don't need him, and all that. It just keeps playing out unless you fix it. So that's the point of this string.
And that was that. Yeah, that was really just like the whole point is that we shouldn't be driven by things that really just are short lived and don't fit into our long term plans.
Right. That's the lesson that's going to keep playing itself out unless you catch on to it, unless you get it.
Yeah.
Well, and I 100% agree with that. We absolutely shouldn't be, but that's why I think a good tool is recognizing, first of all, when we have these kind of built-in things that are not useful in society today or kind of impact us the wrong way, and try to use them or channel them into something more productive, right? Which is why I say, well, you give yourself the 1 year time limit, you don't make any of those crazy decisions, but use that time that you are so deeply fascinated with person X to try to get deeper and delve deeper. This is a time where you're the most interested in doing that with this person, so do it. So when the infatuation wears off, because it will, then you'll have a good understanding. Is this a person that I actually could build something with, that I have a real connection with, that I have real feelings for, that, we're on the same page because you took that time. So you can use it as a tool. It doesn't have to be a tool that uses you, basically.
I agree on that one. And yeah, that was really just my whole sort of take on this, was just, again, just to understand like what our emotions tell us, right? And I think that I never hear this word come up in a lot of these dialogues. I never hear people just say, well, I did something stupid because I was infatuated with the person.
Well, you know what, Complex? I will say this. I know a lot of people think that I cap on here or whatever, but I'm sorry. As a teenager, as a middle schooler, as a teenager, as a young adult, I was a thinking, planning person. I had a stick up my butt. I missed out on all of the fun stuff. So I'm on here telling y'all the truth. I'm not saying it because it supposedly makes me look better, but here's the thing.
Topaz, what was fun about it?
What was fun about what? What I did?
You said you missed out on the fun stuff.
Oh,
right?
Okay. So fun in quotation marks, like what other people, view as fun, with all of the dating and the BS and the breaking rules and all that. I didn't really care, right? I had a vision. I had something I wanted to do, so I needed to stay focused.
Was it fun?
For me, yes. I still made my own fun. It just was nerding out fun,
Okay, so that's what I mean, because even fun is subjective, right? I always find it kind of weird because, like, I did that. I was like, well, dude, I ain't doing all the risky stuff. I had homies.
It wasn't worth it.
It wasn't worth it. I had homies that got caught up, and I'm like, well, there you go.
I don't want to do all that. Like, I just didn't want. It just didn't appeal to me. So my point for all of this, right, is that, like, I can say I wasn't infatuated when I first got married. Right, I was engaged at 17, got married. I got pregnant and then we got married and then I had my daughter, but we were already engaged. So this is the thing. I, had a checklist and an order of things that were supposed to happen, and for a good reason. I literally did plan out my life. Like, my friends from that time period will tell you, I planned everything. I documented, I scheduled. It was ridiculous. So it's not cap, but I wasn't infatuated, but I will say that he was. Because the way it ended, I do feel like he was infatuated. He liked the idea of who he was getting engaged to, marrying and having kids. He liked the idea of having a woman that was smart. right? That got scholarships, that had that won the academic competitions, that people seem to like, that is told that she's pretty. You know, he liked that idea. That's who he wanted to marry. That's who he wanted to have kids with. But when it came to getting to know me and what it is that my tendencies are, he never knew. And so he was always confused. And then he didn't believe me. And so that's what led to the breakup, is when the infatuation broke. So I've lived that, like, on the other side of it. That's why I try to tell people that infatuation is not okay. And I'm not saying, I hope it doesn't sound like I'm saying like he just was all bad or wrong or whatever, right? No, what I'm saying is, at the time, he did truly believe that he was in love. Now, he still says that he was. I don't know. But I think it was infatuation because of the way it ended. When, like, 2 years in, right? At this moment, now everything is just so horrible. Like, oh no, it's kind of like he felt like, you know, what have I done? Was like he felt lied to. And that's what it is. When you end the infatuation, you do feel like that previous time was a lie. You ask, where, you know, like, why did I fall for this? You're supposed to question yourself. And so that's what I was mentioning earlier. In Black culture, we don't take that time out to question yourself after something ends. You just jump right back into yet another relationship. And that's that cycle that I was talking about. If you end one infatuation and you jump into the next one without questioning yourself to realize and understand what just happened, is going to continue until life keeps teaching you that same lesson. So I know I gave like a personal statement. I know Complex gave his earlier, so I didn't want you to be the only one on here.
No, you're good. You're good. I mean, it's really just all to, convey,
right, the point.
to convey a point. I mean, I always use personal anecdotes to convey, points and ideas. I mean, hell, I think I did, even was it last night? I did a live stream called The Muse.
Mm-hmm.
Or I don't know if it was last night or the day before. Shit, all the days just kind of run together. But it was just basically
you at 2:00 in the morning doing a live stream. Well, it's midnight.
Well, it's 12:17, so it's
right.
just it's just Tuesday here. But I was talking about a muse, like if men have ever, if they've just kind of ponder if you've ever had a muse in your life. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So and kind of like what it is, and how to recognize it, and why it's important, like why that person who you may not have no romantic interest or anything like that in this woman, but she's always there to just give you like a supportive jolt for whatever reason. And it's like, well, look, those type of people are in your life for a reason. So some of these people just serve as a muse to you. You know what I mean? So for me, I try to speak to all this relationship to such a degree here, or level of nuance, and not even just me. It's just who's contributing to these conversations, but we are all of these things to each other when we can recognize it. Okay.
Right.
If we don't recognize that, what we're doing is we're just taking each other for granted largely, and we're reducing each other's value to transactional interactions and short-lived relationships.
Not animated. It gets automated, and then it's not human anymore. Like, you can't treat people like transactions and think that something is going to be okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's just kind of, and it's that's why I'm like, okay, we can talk about the problems, or we can talk about how applied solutions. And like this particular platform here is, I see Silky Red, listen, I'm going to ask that you respectfully go through our catalog and get familiar with our platform. And then, just come back up another time, and, maybe we can have dialogue. But I can't have you back up if you're not really familiar with what we're about, because I think just fundamentally you were off base saying what you said. But to speak to the catalog and what it is that we talk about, we're about applied solutions, right? You see, so if we're about, the fourth industrial paradigm and all of these things, then it's like, okay, well, look, at a certain point, man, people gotta put their thinking caps on. That you can't get any more pragmatic than that.
That's true. And I actually, like and support what y'all are doing over here. Like I like for Black men to realize that there is a place where you can go where you don't have to have the same usual conversation. I'm glad that this can be a place for, like, I guess, like the men who didn't get a chance to get heard growing up.
Well, we're at the 2-hour mark. I guess we're going to get some final words, and then I'll go ahead and close it on out.
Okay. Oh, okay. Well, I'll just go ahead and go first since I'm already talking. Well, my final words is that I hope this doesn't come off as like, well, you know what? Like, I hope it doesn't come off, hurt, like painful, because it's meant to be educational. Because if nobody ever told you, then this is the first. Now somebody has told you if you're watching this live stream. Now you know. Infatuation, it can lead to a lot of different issues that you're not going to want to enjoy. That's why it's not called love. If it was called love, then you wouldn't be having a lot of, it has a name, a separate name for a reason. And so once you realize that that's what it is, all you're required to do is make amends for anything that you might have done under the influence, and then know better going forward. Learn the lesson that was designed to be taught to you right then, and then move forward. And that's it. That's all I had to add.
All right. And Topaz, I appreciate you so much for playing co-host duties for me this night. I appreciate you.
I'm glad you didn't feel like I was trying to take over or get in the way, because I do struggle with that. So
most of the time it's just me talking for like an hour, and then I'm like, all right, well, see you guys.
Right. Well, I don't know. Sometimes if I'm doing a panel, it does go longer than expected. I thought that was because I'm very loquacious, but I don't know. Maybe it's the questions. I have no idea. But I'm just glad I didn't overstep. I'm glad I was able to stay in the right lane.
No, you're all good. You're all good.
Okay. Thanks for having me up, and y'all enjoy the rest of your evening.
No, you're good. You have a good rest of your evening, Ruby.
You too. Do I get final words or no?
Yeah. Let's get final words before I shut it down.
Okay. I just want to say this, because ultimately, we're talking about the adrenaline junkies with infatuation, where they go chasing infatuation, or they think that once the infatuation clock has run out, even though they've managed to actually make a real underlying connection with this person and true enjoyment and functionality in the relationship, they think that that crazy infatuation feeling is something that is normal, that you feel for the duration of a relationship, 20 years, 50 years, or whatever. So if it goes away, then they think, oh, this must not be right. And so, people need to become more realistic with what, the true, deeper underlying feelings of love and respect and trust and commitment are, which are not infatuation. Expect that high to go away and try to build something else, and see if once that high goes away, there's something real there. And if it is real, the infatuation going away doesn't mean it was never real. Infatuation is supposed to go away. It's a temporary thing, very intense, feels great, but it's baseless. It's meaningless. It's not deep. It's not connected. It's not special. Don't throw away good things, y'all, just because you don't have this heady, crazy high, because that heady, crazy high, as was mentioned, leading people straight off cliffs.
Look, if you want a crazy heady high, I can recommend a number of strains.
I bet.
I mean, like, if you want a high, just come check out our cannabis live streams, and I'll tell you the strain for you. I'll recommend.
Right?
I mean, I'm just saying, if you want a high, like, dude, there's a whole bunch of different ways to get it.
There is. I mean,
I like twisting up the green myself. I do that too.
Yes.
But I like. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go smoke some after this.
so many ways of flooding your body with endorphins and serotonin, and because that's what it is. There's just a bunch of these things. So go, okay, fine, smoke a J, or start running, start exercising every day. You'll be flooded with that too.
I'm gonna go pack a ball, and I gotta call New. He loves his Mac and he loves his SUV.
Nice. All right. Well, thank you for having me. I'm glad I found you over here. So I will be tuning in again to the series because I like it. But yes, it was great.
I appreciate you. Yep. So we're over here now. Okay.
All right. I will be around. You'll see
me. All right. Talk to you soon. Okay.
All right. Later.
All right. Later. All right, y'all. I appreciate everyone for joining me. Rubes, Chaos Rain, Topaz, definitely. I appreciate you for joining me and having this discussion about infatuation and our emotions and some of the unintended consequences that happens when we don't understand our infatuations. And it's also important to let our young folks know what that emotion is early on, so that they know how to better process their emotions and their feelings. So, New, I'm gonna holler at you in a few. All right, you guys have a good rest of your morning, day. Yeah, because the day's already started. So, have a good day, everyone. We'll probably be going live later today. I don't know about what, but it'll be something. All right, peace. RPMF Doom. They pray 4 times a day, they pray 5. Who ways is strange when it's time to survive? Some will go of their own free will to die. Others take them with you when they blow sky high. What's the difference? All you get is lost children while the bosses sit up behind the desk and cost billions to blast humans in half into caps and arms. Only one side is allowed to have bombs. It's like making a soldier drop his weapon, shooting them and telling them to get to stepping. Obviously, they came to portion up his fortune. Sounds to me like that old robbery extortion. Same game.